All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Sorry I'm a little late. And sorry I wasn't able to do more content this weekend. Recently had family member that, I spent a lot of my childhood with come down with serious illness, cancer. And so far I'm 49. I haven't had to deal with much of that yet in my life. I haven't had to deal with many deaths in my family so far. And so I was just dealing with it for the first time. You really got to be in the spirit to make content, because that's really what people connect with. That's really what make people hit the like button. They can tell when your spirit, your mind and soul, and when you're passionate about a subject. But I'm here, and I wanted to talk about this video. I don't know why it stood out. I wanted to talk about this video that was uploaded by Cesar a few days ago. And after we deal with this, I want to deal with real quick second topic. Because, I don't like the way they value or put dogs' lives on the same level as ours. Okay, it should not be compared, but they do. And if you ask me, the only thing that matters is what happens after we die. That's like what would make us different from, like wild animals. We not only get to wonder about it, is aware of it. We the only ones who could ask that question. And as far as we know, even be curious about what happens after you die. Also, I suspect we're the only ones able to keep our spirits alive after death. After death, in a way. But I'll get to that in the second topic. This video upset me. Cesar is very dangerous. All of these trainers who, flaunt their ability to handle aggressive dogs and to even especially rehome aggressive dogs, according to them, they're the ones who say this, this is what they do. These are the worst people, most dangerous people in society right now, if you ask me. Now again, I think he uploaded this, let me see, about a week ago, because I go through the comment section and I don't see any comments older than 6 days. And with these shorts, at least on my PC, I cannot see when it was actually updated. But I want y'all to look at this. See if we can go full screen here. This man is dangerous, and stuff like this should not be aired, if you ask me. 1 second here.
Those high pitches that you heard, that's panic. It's very typical. Fearful cases not necessarily want to bite you. They just want to run away from you. But when you corner an animal,
they don't want to bite you. They want to run away from you.
That is in a fearful state, they're not using common sense anymore. They don't know you're trying to help them.
How manipulative is that? For him to say that the dog is actually in panic mode, basically scared and terrified of you, that and it doesn't really want to bite you. He just wants to run away. He's panicky. And when he's terrified, he doesn't have common sense. Like as if dogs have common sense at all. They don't possess common sense at all. Let me back this up. I thought this was overboard.
Very typical. Fearful cases not necessarily want to bite you. They just want to run away from you. But when you corner an animal that is in a fearful state, they're not using common sense anymore. They don't know you're trying to help them. The brain can only stay in a fearful state for so long. Then the brain calms down. So after the storm is calm, always. So who knows how this was created, but this was created by a human, and it's possibly a man.
Right there. Can you believe that? Oh man. Do you know what actually happened there? You know what actually happened? What the truth is? He simply punked it. Remember, most dogs are like, they're opportunists, not really straight up fighters, and they're fairly easy to run off when you stand up to them and show no fear to that acts of aggression. A lot of times when they charge up to you, they want to see if you're going to run or not, if you cower away or not. And let's say if you run away and you can't run fast enough, then they'll chase you and actually start to bite you and maul you. They're attackers, but they're cowardly attackers that primarily act on fear. That's why over 50% of the victims are 13 and under. And women and the elderly. They primarily operate on the fear that their victims display. Now, some of them don't. If you stand there, they'll still attack you. Shown a lot of videos. But a good chunk of them act just like this dog. So it wasn't that the dog was, in panic mode or has been abused by some man in the past. You simply showed no fear. And that's not what was going on inside these people's house. Because you see the title right here, biting, what is that? Remoraner? I guess that's the type of dog this is. Don't know how to pronounce that. Rules the household. Rules the household. So they brought him in to try to save this worthless mutt. And just the lie he put out was crazy.
Those high pitches that you heard, that's panic. It's very typical. Fearful cases, not necessary.
And he's saying that the dog is in panic mode, and that it probably was, I guess abused is what he's trying to say, by a man in its past. No, it's just that another man in the dog's past might have stood up to him the way Cesar is. And that if anybody showed aggression and used intimidation against that dog, it was probably another man, which is exactly what keeps you alive. You see Cesar, he's always kicking and punching and poking and stabbing these dogs, whacking these dogs around. He does it right there on camera. So he uses intimidation too. And that's why the dog didn't really attack him.
Fearful cases not necessarily want to bite you. They just want to run away from you. But when you corner an animal that is in a fearful state, they're not using common sense anymore. They don't know you're trying to help them.
When you corner it, no, you got it tied up, first of all. Second of all, you're behaving like the alpha in the pack behaves. That's all Cesar does. That's all these trainers do. They do their best to mimic how the alpha dog behaves in the pack. And that's exactly what the alpha dog does. Doesn't react at all to their barking and displays of aggression.
The brain can only stay in a fearful state for so long. Then the brain calms down. So after the storm is calm, always. So who knows how this was created, but this was created by a human. And it's possible.
No, these things come out the womb aggressive like that. I've shown many newborn puppies. They're all over YouTube. As soon as they're born, they're launching attacks. They're biting. They're showing aggression. This is instinct. You simply refuse to respond to what they instinctually do. Their instinctive aggression. So it didn't coincide with the response that the mutt was looking for. Most of them are looking for you to be fearful, to cower away, and especially to run away. And you know, when young people try to run away, they usually get caught. That's why they make up the majority of the victims. And they're always running away when they get attacked. Well, not always. I've shown a couple videos where they were just standing there, didn't see the dog coming. And y'all remember that boy just stood there while 3 dogs was charging him. He didn't move, didn't budge, and they still attacked him. So wrong. This is all a lie, man. Dude's tweaking out. And again, saying that this thing has common sense. Dog ain't got no common sense. What are you talking about? I mean, these things attack people. If they had common sense, they wouldn't attack humans as much as they do. Because we've been the only ones taking care of them, providing food for them. They attack humans more than other animals in the world, and we don't feed these other animals like that. We don't take care of these other animals the way we do dogs, and they don't attack us nearly as often. Virtually never, compared to how often dogs attack us. I don't want to hear nothing about no common sense. What are you talking about? No matter what type of dog you're talking about, in this country, they're all being fed by human beings. That's a fact. If you see a dog anywhere that's been on this earth, any significant amount of time, it's been fed by human beings. None of them should be launching attacks against us. Again, there are other animals that are in our society in high numbers, and they're not attacking us like that. So I don't want to hear it. I want to hear these stupid excuses. Shout out to Jason in the super chat. Yeah, I hope y'all being safe. Had a good weekend. Productive weekend. Man, this dude is dangerous. This dude's mad dangerous to me.
But this was created by a human and is possibly a man.
Like, dude, how ridiculous of a statement is that? To just assume that a human being abused this dog in its past. With all these stories and reports we got out now, they've made you obsolete, dude. We don't need to rely on your theories. We got the actual reports where numerous people say they raised these stupid dogs, that they've never been aggressive or, abusive to these dogs. And many of these owners, you can tell they haven't. Many of them are little soft-spoken, petite ladies, dog moms. They're getting attacked the most. And it's usually by their own dog. So how in the world does your explanation work? That aggressiveness in dogs, it's the result of humans abusing it in the past? Stop it. Stop it. See, dog fatigue will include being critical of these stupid trainers. It has to. Because they're really opposed to what dog fatigue is really about.
Is possibly a man.
He deserves it. He's a good dog. And he deserves a good place to go and to find a home.
Crazy. She just called this dog a good dog. This is ridiculous. This is nonsense. It's dangerous.
As much as I'm going to miss him, it's not the best for him to be somewhere, like the shelter.
I think it's meant to.
As if a shelter is a bad place for dogs. It's not. It's just like a house. Those shelters, they make me sick with that too. There ain't nothing abusive about a shelter. They just con the general public into thinking that a real home in the mind of a dog is an improvement or a step up. The only thing these dumb mutts know is that it's in an enclosure. They're not paying attention to whether or not it's a shelter or a house. Shelter ain't no different than a house. These shelter dogs get taken outside, they play outside, they go on walks, just like house dogs, and then spend the rest of their worthless life inside a shelter, just like house dogs. Ain't nothing abusive about no shelter.
To be, you know, we haven't had a Rottweiler in a while. If you don't mind, we can take him right now. It's really no more coming.
If you don't mind, we can take him right now. And you see the title. Cesar saves a dog's life. So what you gonna do with this dog, Cesar? Huh? What you plan on doing with it? Just keeping it? Adopt it out? Now, if he adopts it out, that's a dangerous, counterproductive thing to do. Period. If he adopts that dog out. And if he keeps it, what's the point in doing that? Just to waste money on it? Now, y'all remember, there was it's been it's been more than one of these con artists where they accept donations and they promise to do something for the dogs and then they euthanize them. I wouldn't be surprised if this dog was later euthanized. And, you know, they put up this story to act like they saved it. Oh, we adopted it out to a loving family. Oh, they make me sick with that. Dogs in shelters, they have what? Shelter workers and volunteers. The dog don't know. Don't look at those people as no different than a so-called loving family. They humanize these things so much. You may as well say that the dumb mutts have a loving family when they're in the shelter, because they see the same thing that they see when they're in people's homes. Human beings, giving them food, taking them on walks. You stupid mutts don't know the difference. And they make these goofy stories based on humanizing these mutts to that extent. And man, it makes me sick. This is annoying.
Conversations behind this. Go for it.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so
It's gonna
corny.
be okay.
This is so disrespectful. This is so disrespectful. Many lives these things ruin and take. Human lives. You want to show it, an inbred mutant that's not even supposed to be on this earth. You want to show it just as much as compassion as you would a human being. That is sick. And what you crying about? What you crying tears of happiness for? That this dangerous dog is going to go into somebody else's home? You think just because that dog didn't try to attack Cesar, that it won't try to attack somebody else? Look at this logic of dog culture for a minute. You know, dog fatigue has to include questioning this nonsense as well. Look at that logic. As if every so-called dog owner, is going to do what Cesar did. Try to punk it. You try to intimidate it. Stand up to it. You might adopt it out, like I said again, to a dog mom. A soft-spoken, non-violent dog mom. Non-aggressive dog mom. Just because it didn't attack you in these few seconds in this video, we supposed to believe that it will not attack any other owner in the future? Ridiculous. So if you kept it and adopted it out, that is sick. And again, That's how a lot of people end up getting attacked. I don't know how many stories we've looked at where it turned out that the dog had shown previous, aggression in the past. And that's always what happened. It acts aggressive, it launches an attack. The handlers, the shelter people acquire the dogs. And that's the dog simply going through a period of time where it doesn't attack anybody. Until one day it sees a weak, vulnerable target, usually a toddler or something. And boom, there's your second attack. But we can't afford, as y'all know, to even wait for the first attack. Because those often are fatal. It makes most sense to just get them out of the community. Completely out off the earth, period. You want to take them to shelters and let them live out the rest of their life, fine. You want to spay and neuter all of them, fine. I don't care. I mean, I do care because they can break out of shelters too. But they should not be allowed to reproduce, period. Like I said, they shouldn't be on this earth. They're man-made. Man-made, inbred mutants. Talking about, I saved a mutt's life. That really annoys me at this moment. Putting their lives on the same level as ours. Dogs can't ask that question, what happens after we die? I've been thinking about that all weekend. Because, like I said, I, had a serious illness in the family. And I can't help but ponder that question. And I put it like this. If I could ask everybody in the world just one question, I'd ask them, that's the question I'd ask. What do you think happens after you die? That is the oldest question, I would say, in humanity, in human lifetime. That's something that humans have always wondered. Now, a lot of religious people, have their opinions that you go to heaven. I know Christians believe that. I think all religions believe that. They got some version of heaven that you go to. But we don't know. Nobody's ever died and come back, so we really don't know. Shout out to Gwen. I want to send a big shout out to Gwen for her contribution to the platform. And I don't want people, don't ever think that, my offering is too small. It really doesn't matter. It's all appreciated. It's all appreciated, and you all definitely help keep these channels going, keep these videos going. But again, big shout out to Gwen. Here's my opinion. We all got our opinion. Here's my opinion. If you ask me, the best way to look at this is how I look at it. You have to go on to another life. You have to. That's the way I've always looked at it. Well, not always. And as a kid, I thought, you go to heaven or hell. But once I started being able to think for myself and question that, that's what I went to, and it never changed. And I feel like I got evidence for that. I feel like I got evidence that we most definitely go on to live other lives. And that we've already lived other lives already. We had to have. And I feel like the evidence of that is the fact that none of us remember waiting to be born. Where were we before we were born into this life? I know some of you might say, oh, that sounds like something, esoteric. Maybe it does. I don't know nothing about none of those occult systems or nothing. I've never looked into their stuff, ever. I got this idea when I researched Egyptian culture long ago. That was around 2004. I pretty much started to believe this. That's where I got it. Because that's what they believed. That you just go on to live other lives. Your spirit goes back to the stars and you are reborn and you live different lives, like non-stop. But yeah, do you remember? You know how much time passed before we were born? An endless amount of time, right? Do you remember waiting to be born? No. Just one day you looked up and you realized you was alive. That you were a living, breathing human being. That's the case with all of us. So that tells me we live multiple lives and we don't remember the previous lives. Just don't remember them. In fact, that's the whole point of death. To wipe out and put an end to the memory of that particular life and to move on to another one. Now, maybe you come back as multiple things before you come back as a human. I think that's what the Egyptians believe, that you come back, as animals and birds and insects, and then you eventually come back as a human being. Because according to science, people got their opinions. Energy can't be killed. It can't be destroyed. Because energy is always in the atmosphere. Like right now, we're surrounded by multiple different types of energies right now. And, the source is the stars. Our star, stars/sun. The sun we see in the sky, that's our star. And so obviously, like right now, we're all alive, right? But what's keeping us alive? Energy. Energy. Your brain keeps your heart beating. Your brain controls your heart. A lot of people look at the heart as, that's the source of how you're staying alive. It is, it's part of it, but the brain is in control of the heart. Now, what does the brain operate on? Electricity, energy. They call them what? Neurons and protons. Literally, our brain operates and runs on energy. You can't just destroy energy because basically we're all part of the same life force. That's what it seems like to me. That it's just the life force that doesn't die. It's just that there are some different types of manifestations of that life force. This body that we have is just an encapsulation for it. It's just a shell for that energy to express itself in a different type of way. In like a sophisticated way. Human beings, if we're just really an expression of energy, then we're the highest expression of it. So, we all have to die. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's nothing to be afraid of because after you die, you're not going to remember this life anyways. you're just going to look up once again, and you're going to realize you're a living, breathing human being, and you're just going to think that that's the first time that you were ever alive and that you've ever been born. That's my theory. Like after we die, do we just go back to, we obviously go back to having no memory. Look at all the time, again, that passed before we were born. That's too much time. That's a long time. You know how they say that youngsters are straight from the spirit realm? Where is that spirit realm? It's all around us in the form of energy. That's my theory. I just don't like how sad people get when it comes to death. Because death is so much a part of life, I think that's a big reason why a lot of cultures around the world and throughout history celebrated life and death. And through, celebrations after the death of a loved one. Yeah, and didn't like mourn the way we do. But that it was primarily based on celebrations because, it's a part of life. Necessary part of life. Now back to what I was saying about humans. Big reason why, we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to dogs. We have the ability to keep, even though we don't remember our previous lives, we have the ability to keep our individual spirits alive. So, like say this life, this current expression of life in the form of you, a human being. We get to keep your specific type of expression of that energy alive. By what? Same thing that people throughout history have done. They remember their names. They talk to them in their minds. And a lot of them built statues and kept those individuals' spirits alive for thousands of years. Now, what that does, I don't exactly know. But I know that that's like what makes us different. We humans run off the energy that preceded us. Whether it be good or bad, positive or negative. Usually, for the most part, we're a product of the people before us. You just continue on. Things change and stuff like that. But you can't destroy energy. So, and I think part of life is to enjoy it. I don't believe depression is really a natural part of life. You know what I'm saying? Especially depression over death. I don't think having a lot of anxiety over death is how we are meant to look at it. Because it's so much a part of life. The focus has been living a righteous life. Being positive, trying to help people. Rather than tear them down and hurt people. That's just what I focus on my content. I realize I'm always trying to, at the end of the day, help people in some type of way. It don't get no better than going against dog culture, let me tell you. It's one of the greatest evils ever. Live your life. And that's probably the key to a better life in the next life. Live your life in a positive manner. Simple as that. I don't understand how people thrive and get off on being negative, but hey, that's them. Maybe nothing happens to them. Maybe there is no hell. You know, maybe these people who are wicked throughout their life, maybe when they die, they don't face punishment. Maybe they just keep coming back as an evil, nasty person. Especially if they have kids, you know, and they pass that craziness on to their kids. It's like, okay. Yeah. And y'all heard of that Asian yin and yang? Life and nature is about the battle between good and evil. That's probably what that's all about. That some people are just destined to be negative their whole life and inconsiderate, and some people are not. Because, you know, dog ownership is the most inconsiderate thing you could do. The more deadly the dog, the more inconsiderate. But having any of them and all of them is inconsiderate. And it's like, when people acquire these dogs, they know for a fact, if you ask me, in the back of their head, they know that they're putting their community in danger. They're fully aware. This dog could break out, it could get away from me and attack somebody. They're all aware of that. And they acquire the stupid things anyway. And many of them get innocent people hurt every single day as a result. These, even though there's probably always going to be negative people and destructive people, that does not mean that society as a whole should empower those types of people by getting them dogs and allowing them to own dogs. The fact that there may always be evil and negative people does not justify the creation of these things and the allowing of them in our society. That don't justify that. You better express your way of being a negative person in a different way. Not having no dumb, brainless, inbred mutt that could charge out of your house at any time, just randomly attack people. Get out of here. The negative people shouldn't be allowed to produce and own things that are dangerous with a mind of their own, dangerous to other people. That's way too far. And even if the things didn't bite, even if they couldn't bite, they're too nasty and annoying, too toxic. I'll just say too toxic to our health and our environment. And even if they don't attack, they got too much of a negative impact on human relations. We all know about that too. How they ruin so many human relationships and are really the reason for a lot of human beings having fallen outs and fatalities. How many reports have we gone over where a neighbor unalived a neighbor or even a relative? Somebody being accidentally popped. Or popped on purpose because these things have been, accidentally popped because these things fighting each other. You know, let's say they don't attack us, but they attack each other. You jump in. There's always going to be that redirected aggression, but some people will try to shoot the dog that's attacking their dog. And there you go. They could hit a person. That could hit a person. You just heard that 15-year-old shot his friend when his dog attacked his friend. As his own dog was attacking his friend, he tried to pop his own dog, end up popping his friend. So yeah, they're too toxic. Whenever you got traces of these things, excrement in the air outside, that's a health emergency. I don't want to hear nothing. That's just as extreme as the violent attacks from these things, if not more. What are we doing finding excrement in the air outside? So you can't even go outside to get clean, fresh air because of dogs? Are you kidding? And you know what that means? That means that all of us who don't have dogs are currently inhaling dog excrement right now. Because if it's in the air outside, that means it's in the air in your home as well. And you living next door, across the street. So yeah, you owning these things is still a problem. I don't care if these things were toothless. They're a problem for that as well. We went over those videos on dog fatigue. How many of those videos had to do with dog attacks? None, for the most part, none. Most of them were about people objecting to these things being brought into grocery stores. So again, even if they don't attack, that's something we still have to deal with. So no, again, they still need to be gotten rid of. You can just look at the attacks alone and conclude they need to be gotten rid of. You can just look at the health threats alone and conclude they need to be gotten rid of. But here, we got both of them. We're dealing with both of these problems. So no doubt, they need to be gotten rid of. And I keep saying that because I think after they're gone, humans will evolve. That's what I believe. We exert too much energy into dogs. These dog people, dog lovers, when that energy could be directed in a positive way to other people. We thrive off each other's energy. We do. People that's listening to me now, for example, there's an energy component there. Communication is energy. You hear the right thing, the right words, man, you'll get hyped. You'll get motivated. It change the way you look at the world. We're not supposed to be using that energy on no mutt. It is so unnatural. That's what you're supposed to give that energy to your own offspring. And again, they are abusive to their kids in that way. How they divide their parental attention, love, and everything else between their kids and the dog. And that's wrong. We're designed for that energy to be 100% for your offspring. And then you want to complain about how many problems people have after they grow up. And, basically act like they were born that way. Hey, you just became that way on your own. No, we got to stop that. That's part of our regression. Humans in general are regressing. I think that's a big reason why we're here, period. This just is another way that people are trying to come out of regression and thinking backwards, having a backwards mindset. So always look at being a dog culture critic as positive. Don't let nobody, and I don't need to tell y'all that. Quiet as kept, most dog lovers, they know we're telling the truth. I made that poll. You see, there are many dog lovers who follow our content, our videos. They know that we're telling the truth. They just, for whatever reason, cannot snap out of that dog stupor that they're lost in. But some of them, on a regular basis, cross over. Haven't y'all seen? I've seen some recent comments from people who say, hey, man, I used to be a dog lover till I found your channel. And when they find my channel, they also find the comment section to the channel, where there's a lot of times a whole lot more to learn than what you hear on my videos. And the same is not happening in reverse. No critic of dog culture is going to become a dog lover. Y'all, we all know that. That's not a discussion. There ain't nothing to talk about. You want to talk about what? Maybe loving dogs? Maybe being willing to pet dogs and be around dogs again? No, we're not even going to have that discussion. So that's scary. I guarantee you that's something that the elites are looking at. The future loss in the dog business because of the growing number of people who are openly critical of dogs. We're not going nowhere. We're only going to multiply. Like that's weird, ain't it? It's like a cold or a cancer, only in a positive way. Antibiotic resistant infection. We're only going to spread until we eventually cover your entire body. So y'all better be careful. You know, a lot of people look at us, though they try to talk about us like we're some type of fringe joke until they actually spend more time on the channel. I know y'all have seen some of these people like that, because a lot of people, dog lovers, they'll come to the channel and they'll only hear like a piece of the video and they'll leave a comment. They may even leave a comment on a different video and then they all just disappear. Have y'all noticed that? Some of the critics who tried to be a critic in the comment section, it never lasts. We don't have no steady, consistent critics on all of our videos and comment sections. Just go back in the catalog and you'll find a few here and there, and then they just eventually disappear because they started to realize these people are right. It's too much that dog culture critics are right about for me to sound like a sane person in objection to them. So just keep that in mind. But again, I don't need to tell y'all that. We the long time crusaders. That's what this is. It's a war, man. It's a war against evil. That's how I look at it. Dog culture critics, it's a war against evil. These dogs ain't nothing but trouble. And I'd say that about anything else if they were integrated in society the way these things are. You let these things come between you and your kids. Are you crazy? You and your husband or a potential girlfriend. You know what I mean? How many stories have we gone over? Confessions. There's a whole lot of them on Reddit. How dogs ruin boyfriend-girlfriend relationships, husband-wife relationships, mother-child relationships, relationships between neighbors, oftentimes ending up in violence, but definitely a ruining, a destroying of even just friendship. We don't need that. Being able to communicate and be friends with people is hard enough without dogs. So, you know, look, don't get me wrong, I'm happy. I feel good that people are smartening up. I just look for the growth, looking for us to take that next step. I can't wait. I want to be alive to see this. The complete 180 against dog culture. So big thanks to all the members. I got a message. Again, shout out to Gwen. And anybody who's having trouble becoming a member, you know, she's telling me how she's having trouble becoming a member. I sent them a message to YouTube. They haven't responded, but I would try a different browser. Maybe, yeah, definitely try a different browser. If you're on a phone, try to hop on a PC. If you're on a PC, try to hop on the phone, see if that works. I've sent messages to YouTube about things in the past, and even though they didn't reply, they resolved the issue. So hopefully they'll do it here if there's an issue. Y'all let me know if you have any issues becoming a member of the channel. And big shout out to all of you, and good night. And I hope you're able to join me on the next live stream as we continue with this crusade.